JKB back with another episode. Thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you to Nintendo for sending over the review copy. As always, I ask you, please hit that like button and share it on social media. It really does help me, and especially since I'm not biased. And I actually play the game completely before writing a fucking paragraph and calling it a review. Thank you so much for watching. Let's get into the details of how much I like Star Fox Zero and what I didn't like about it. As you can see, I'm definitely not on video. That's because I dropped my microphone, but I had to go to Plan B and record just the audio. I know that a lot of people out there want an actual review of the game. I'm not saying that everyone out there didn't do a review of the game. I'm saying that a lot of the websites, literally, I couldn't believe what I was reading. I thought, did these people play Star Fox Zero? What the hell am I reading? And some people didn't even finish the game and admitted that in their review. Unbelievable. So unprofessional, especially if Nintendo sent over these copies, or they were even requested to review. These games, when you request them, do your goddamn job. So I'm doing my goddamn job right now. I want to break it up into a few different sections and just kind of tell you a story that you can relate to. I think that if you're a male or female, a lot of you would watch Sunday morning cartoons like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, G.I. Joe, so forth. You get the idea. And the reason that you enjoyed those things because they were simplistic. This game right here is a very simplistic story. I wouldn't say there's a lot of depth to it, but as I got older, in my age, I expected a little bit more. Did I expect more from Star Fox in terms of its story? I'm not going to ruin any of it because I do think a lot of people who have Wii U should play this game if you're looking for a certain type of game. Saying all of that, the story is a bit of a disappointment because of how simplistic it is. I really was hoping for a little bit more, and I just don't want to spoil anything to you, but if you played a Star Fox game, you've essentially played everything that's in this game in terms of the story. Going to the gameplay, which is taking a lot of heat because of the gyroscope in the gamepad, and I have to say, I have some friends that are disabled, and they have a fucking hard time playing Star Fox Zero, but they want to enjoy it. And when you have a game that forces you to use the gyroscope and look down at the second screen, it can be frustrating at times. When you're using the gyroscope to aim your reticle on screen, I have to admit, at the beginning of the game, I felt like I was in the cockpit for the first level. The first level had some of the best designs I've ever seen in a Star Fox game. And then going back to the story here, I really did hope we saw some sort of massive city destruction where, because in the game you see a lot of huge ships exploding and you see a lot of explosions, and it really does feel like that is more of a cartoon based reality. And of course this is a Star Fox game, so that's what we should expect. I just have to add in, but I'm not going to take score points off it, I do wish we saw some civilians running around on the ground. You never see that ever. And it really does make the game feel like an arcade shooter. Also, I gotta add this. If you're a fan of light con games, as I have a stroke, that is essentially what it kind of feels like to shoot with the gyroscope. It is different technology, you use it differently, but you do get the sense that you're in the cockpit, and when you move it, it does feel like you are moving the controls of a weapon. And I have to say, sometimes it works really well, but when you go into open range mode or free range mode, which allows you to fly anywhere on any of the maps and it's no longer on rails, that's when the gyroscope really does shine. I wish there was an easy way to explain how confusing it is at times to control your ship. The left analog stick aims the ship in the reticle, but it also moves the ship. The gyroscope just moves the reticle on the gamepad. When you're faced up against a boss in free space mode, you have to lock onto him sometimes to figure out where he is, where he's situated around your ship. And at times, I'm telling you guys, it's just simply frustrating trying to figure out what's the best way to use the gameplay. And that is one of the biggest hurdles of Star Fox Zero. When this is a Nintendo game that is designed to be a lot of fun, and by all means, it is a lot of fun for most of the gameplay, but when you are sitting there frustrated trying to figure out how to play the game, that is a bit of a letdown. Now, before I get to the final score, I want to talk about the 4 different ships you could transform into in Star Fox Zero, which is one of the coolest features of the game. Now, of course, the R-Wing is used for the most part. You're using this with your reticle to take down enemies, fire missiles at, lock on to enemies, evade falling structures, and all sorts of cool aspects of the game. However, sometimes you are forced onto the ground, and you can turn into, for the first time ever in a Star Fox game, which I have to add in a little bit of trivia, this was going to be in Star Fox 2, and they've taken it out of that and put it into this. This is the ability to turn into a chicken. It's called Walker Mode. The chicken itself can hover in midair. He also has the ability to do barrel rolls on the ground, and essentially he's the best for evading enemy fire while you're on ground. Now, in saying that, I have to say he's a lot of fun to use. He can be a little tricky at times because he moves very, very quickly, especially if you're doing barrel rolls right or left. However, I don't know if he's the... It's tough for me to say which one I've had the most fun with. I'll say he's a lot of fun, and you can turn into him in the open environments as well when you're using the R-Wing, which is kind of cool sometimes to be able to just hover on spot and not have to deal with a slow-moving R-Wing. So that's cool. However, you can also, when you're on the ground, be something called the Landmaster Tank, which is awesome, very strong, has different weapons on board, has the usual missiles, but also has a cool ability to turn into a flying ship. Now, this allows you to move your tank quickly, however, your energy will deplete as you're flying through the air. And if you don't land quickly, guess what? Giant tank is crashing to the ground, which is cool in its own right. Now, lastly, there's something called the Gyro Wing. This, I was a little frustrated with when I first used because I thought, you know, this is an action game and I'm going so slow. Essentially, it's a drone which can be used to look below you. And you're wondering, well, why do you want to look below you? Well, they've introduced a little robot called Direct Eye. When you send him out of the Gyro Wing, you go into first-person mode on the gamepad, and you're actually controlling him. He's basically Rob the Robot, essentially. And you control him with the gamepad itself and the left analog stick. And you see his point of view while your ship on the main screen is still hovering there. So you have to kind of sometimes gamble with, like, do I want to send out the robot now? Do I want to wait? You use him to collect tons of different secret little coins that are in the levels, but also the coolest aspect is you can use him to find these little green panels which let him hack into and unlock doors or shut down giant weapons. So in saying that, I have to say, gameplay wise and pacing wise, it definitely does change up. Do they all control really, really well? I would say that the Gyro Wing is flawless. It's a lot of fun to use, and it really does work. However, out of all of these, I gotta say that the tank is really cool to use. However, it can be boring at times, and the walker is just chaos, complete chaos, but a lot of fun to use. And if you do get the hang of it, he's probably the funnest version of the R-Wing. In closing, I'm going to give Star Fox Zero a 7.5 out of 10. Some of the aspects that I didn't like have to be nailed down right now, and that is the gameplay. Unfortunately, I just feel like the gameplay on the gamepad and switching between the main screen and your gamepad and also controlling your reticle with the gamepad at times can be so frustrating that you don't want to finish a level. And I feel that is a frustration that I really can't let go, and that takes off a lot of points because that is, guess what? The main point of the game is to have fun by shooting things and have them blow up on screen. But when you are confused on how to do that, that's a disappointment in the game. The story, as I said, you relate it to Sunday morning cartoons. If you do that, you're not going to be disappointed. But if you expected some sort of The Last of Us, Star Fox game, I don't think anybody out there expected that. So I can't say I was disappointed with the story. I can say that the delivery of the lines and the voice acting and all of that stuff was just mediocre at best at times. I thought, wow, this is actually really bad. But in saying all of this, 7.5 out of 10. What did I actually really love about the game? I love the fact that at points in the game, I felt like I was actually sitting in the cockpit of a ship. And I know that sounds completely and utterly insane because this is not VR, But Nintendo was on to something with the gamepad, and the fact that you move the reticle with the gamepad, and the fact that you have two screens. However, I don't think that this was the best way to show that ability off. I do have to say though, I felt like I was in a cockpit, and in saying all of this, I hope that people out there can give this game a chance. And if you're the type of person that really loves Star Fox, it is a must pick up for you because it has a lot of fun content in it. However, if you're not a huge fan of Star Fox and just don't have anything to play on the Wii U at the moment, I don't know if I can really recommend you go out and get this at full price just yet. Thank you so much for watching JKB. I'll be back with another review shortly. Thank you. I love you all.